Good morning. Welcome to You're On with Maureen Umeh. Today we're talking about something bigger than business. We're talking about visibility, purpose, and giving Black women entrepreneurs a way to shine beyond just what we normally see in the mainstream media. My guest today is Sadie Pegues-Hall, founder of Meet the Woman Behind the Business Magazine, a publication and community that is helping women tell their stories in powerful ways. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we need the backstory. How does one say, I'm going to launch a magazine, and then actually do it?
Well, the magazine all came about because of a podcast that I had already started for Meet the Woman Behind the Business. And it was around the time of COVID. And, everyone was on social media a lot more. And while I was on, I kept seeing all of these Black women popping up with these businesses. And then I followed them, and then I saw their backstories, and I started purchasing from them. And what I found was a lot of their products were either as good as, if not better, than what was already, on shelves. And I said, you know what? I think I could do so much more by actually putting all of these women in pages of a magazine. And it kind of gave some validation, to what it was that they were doing. So yeah, and then I just did it.
And you said this is not just a magazine, it's a movement. What do you mean by that?
Well, this is a movement of visibility because oftentimes as Black women, when you have your small business, a lot of times people are like, oh, how's that little business going? They can be a bit dismissive of what it is that you're doing. And this is just a platform that's going to give them visibility and exposure and show them for the true leaders and entrepreneurs that they are.
When you say meet the woman behind the business, who is that woman?
Oh, and that's the thing. We get a backstory because a lot of times people will do business with people that they can relate to, that they find relatable.
They say that people do business with people they know, right, and they like.
Absolutely. So say, for instance, I give the example all the time. You can have two women that have, or two businesses that have vanilla candles. This person is an Army vet. This person is an autism mom. And a lot of times you might lean the way of someone you find more relatable. So it's very important, I tell people all the time, to tell your story, put it out there, because that can increase your sales. You never know.
True. Does the person have to already have it figured out, or can they still be in the process of being, so to speak?
Well, it's great if they're still in the process of being, because this magazine also is a way to keep you encouraged. It's a way to kind of uplift you, let you know that you can do it, that there are other Black women, small business owners that are also building or building alongside you. And it means a lot to have that sisterhood of support.
How long have you had the magazine?
The magazine has been around for 4 years.
Okay.
And I chuckle when I think about it because to think when I first started the magazine, the question was, okay, well, this is only featuring Black women small business owners. Are you really going to have enough women to fill that? And we're like 75, 72, 80, 90 pages plus each issue. So we have the women in there to fill it. And to think that that was even a question on my part at one point. But there's so many of us out there. We're the fastest growing group of women, group of people that there are starting their own businesses.
I was going to say that the numbers are on our side because it does say Black women are the largest group of entrepreneurs, right?
Yes. And I find every issue, there are more and more women that I'm getting the chance to meet and connect with. That is how I came to find out about you from Lene Baber, and then we have Jennifer Gwynn, and just building that sisterhood where we can help elevate one another is really important.
It is very important, and that's one thing I love about this particular show, You're On with Maureen Umeh, because as I said to you before we came on, it really is a platform to highlight people doing amazing things. I know so many Black women who've contacted me saying, I do this, I do that, and it has been so heartening to see that, and even more heartening to be able to highlight what they're doing. Is there any one particular story in the course of you meeting women and profiling them that stands out most to you?
Well, for me, the one story that stands out greater than any other kind of right now, I will say, is because Shanice Rahilia, she's an artist actually out of Houston. And she was the very first guest I had on my podcast. And I reached out to her, not having the following that I have now. And she was just so open and excited that someone wanted to hear her story and to hear her voice and show what she has. And we are sisters now. Like, we are joined at the hip now, even being states away. And I host an event at her art gallery in Houston each year now because she's grown so much, like from going to being this at-home artist at a time where she developed an illness, and so she turned to art to, you know, kind of lift herself up with that. And now she has a huge art gallery in Houston where she's displaying. And she wasn't a trained artist. She's not a trained artist. Yeah, so her story is always so moving because I always pass that story along to let people know, like, you never know where that inspiration is going to come. You never know why your circumstances are turning the way that they are. And yeah, she made so much out of, you know, that moment. Yeah.
What does it mean to you to be able to be the one helping to highlight someone like that? Someone who thought, I don't have a wide voice. Who am I going to contact? And here you come.
Right. Well, it's being a Black woman small business owner and knowing the struggle of saying, like, hey, look at me, I'm over here. Can you see what I'm doing? I know what that's like. So, you know, I have rough days as well where I'm like, I don't know, you know, this is getting really rough right now. And then I'll get a message from one of the other women. Thank you so much for featuring me. I was thinking about giving up, but then you gave me a platform and a voice. So, you know, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing now. And I'm sitting on the other side reading it like, oh, okay, so I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's an awesome feeling. I empathize with that because it really is. You know, your magazine isn't just about celebrating successes. One thing I noticed also is about talking about healing and hope and instilling confidence. Why is it important to you to be able to highlight really kind of the full patina of who these women are?
Okay, well, it's really important to me. You see a lot of business magazines, but the difference in our magazine, we do highlight each woman and their business, but we include recipes because we know that you, as a small business owner, you're probably still preparing your own meals. We have fashion accessories because you're probably still your own stylist. We have mental health and wellness articles because we want to help you maintain that balance while you're trying to balance life as well as your business. So it's important to see the entrepreneur, the Black woman small business owner, as a whole. So we try to service that.
Do you think that women sometimes underestimate the value of telling their own story?
I think so, because I think people don't always see the value. Who wants to hear what I've gone through? They don't put enough, you know, focus or importance on that story. And like I said, that's a lot of what connects people to you. That's what's going to make people remember you, because they can see a million of a particular item a day, and then, but what's going to stand out is that story and what they connected to with that.
I know we've been seeing pictures of you, but I want to hold up your magazine because, hello, we haven't even done that. I mean, this is the magazine, which is going to bring me to the next section because we're going to take a small break in just a minute here. But I want to talk about you being an actual magazine in this digital age. You know, we're streaming, obviously, so digital, as we talked about, is where things are moving to. But you are a physical magazine, and some might say, okay, well, this is a relic of the past, but yet you're making it work. So I want to talk about why you chose to go this route. Where you're going with it, and then I still want to delve into how you became a publisher of a magazine. Because what's your backstory? What was your profession before? Don't tell me just yet. I want to tease the audience a little bit.
Yes.
This is Sadie Pegues-Hall, and we are talking about her wonderful endeavor here. This is a magazine that she has right here that she's printed here in the DMV, right?
It's printed, well, I'm out of the Pennsylvania area, but I feature so many women here in the DMV. I feature them all over the country, so yeah.
The Woman Behind the Business magazine is what it's called, and so we're going to take a small break and come back and talk about what it takes to make this happen. I mean, anything worth anything takes hard work. It's just, you make it look easy, but it takes hard work, and we're going to delve into that. So come on back. You're on with Maureen Umeh, and we'll be back after the short break. right here is Sadie Pegues-Hall, and she is the brilliant publisher of a magazine, which I'll hold up one more time. It is called Meet the Woman Behind the Business magazine. And this woman, I would say, venture to say that she took a gamble on herself and she's winning, which is what a lot of women entrepreneurs need to do. Sometimes they don't have the courage to do it, but a magazine like this also gives them like the drive, gives them the confidence to do that. So let's talk about the magazine. You are a print magazine in this digital world of ours where everyone is saying, nope, we're going the digital route, nothing print, nothing analog, but you took that leap. Why?
Right. Well, with the print magazine, I mean, we do offer it in digital as well, but we offer it in print because how many times are you reading something on your phone, you're scrolling, you're trying to read this article, and I get text messages constantly, email notifications constantly. There's a constant interruption there. Well, when you have print, someone is carving out time to actually sit with that, read that, take that in, whether it's at a salon, whether it's in a waiting area, or, you know, even at home. You're taking the time consciously to sit there with this and actually take in what it is that you are reading. And that's very important, I think. And also with a print, there's a bit more prestige there with being in print, because today everybody's in digital. Everybody's got a social media page. I can flip and see anybody. But to be able to say that you are in print talking about your business, then there's a certain level of honor like with that. And also, I'll point out, this day and age with AI, you don't know what you're looking at. When you're looking at things digitally, it's like, is that real? I don't know. But, you know, when you hold this, this you can feel, this you turn pages, this you look at, you know these women are real and they are vetted. Right.
And for me, I'm an old school journalist. I still prefer a notebook. You know, a lot of my colleagues will come up their laptops. I prefer paper and pen. There's something about a magazine and turning the page, the crisp of it, even reading a book, turning the page of a book, the smell of the page. I love all of that. So you definitely have a fan in me having a print edition, because that is what you're right. There's something contemplated about being able to sit down and really just take it in. And for me, I retain information better also in this format. What is your background? Are you a printer? I mean, like, you have a print background, a journalism background. What's your background?
No, my background is actually, I was project manager for ADP for like about 10 years. And then I've always been in project management. So the background isn't necessarily print, but the whole project management side, to me, I view this as a project, you know, and I organize it in a way that I would handling any projects that I take on. And that's why I feel like it wasn't so much as a challenge to actually bring it to life, because that's something.
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. It was more so just trying to tap in and getting these women to trust me with their brands. And the fact that they do just means that that's so fulfilling for me.
And you are talking to women all across the country.
Yes.
Are we global yet? Are we on that journey?
Well, you know what? Someone said it at an event. They're like, "Are you going worldwide?" I was like, "Yes, worldwide."
Put it out there, yes.
Worldwide. But so far, we've had women all over the country, from California to Kentucky. Like, they're just all over, because Black women own small businesses everywhere.
Absolutely. You've interviewed so many women for your magazine. I'm sure just in your life you've seen a lot of women, Black women in particular. Is there a thread of that you find in all of them that leads to their success?
What I find is there is something there, I'll say culturally, with us as Black women. And it kind of showed its face more so during COVID. Everyone was in survival mode. And that's when I noticed all of these businesses popping up. Black women, we know how to survive. That's just what we've been taught, what's kind of been, you know, embedded in us. That's what we do. And out of different circumstances, someone being ill, someone, you know, losing their employment, and just being able to reinvent themselves with these businesses, I think that's a commonality that I've seen in a lot of us, just kind of revamping and pivoting. You know?
Social media pictures, it can often make things seem so easy. What is it about success that people don't see?
What they don't see. From me, for me with my business, just making sure that I have everything by certain deadlines, me having to pivot, maybe if something doesn't come in on time. And I'll say I'm an autism mom as well. So people don't see how I have a phone in one hand, messaging with someone or trying to edit something, and my daughter tugging at me over here. And they just don't see sometimes that home life that you're trying to balance while you're trying to build this business. And that's another reason why we have the magazine in place. It's a sisterhood. We're all going through this. You're not the only one trying to balance these things at home. So it's important to have this loop or this circle of women to be able to turn to and lift one another up.
It really is. I think it definitely, I mean, we all have our struggles, public, private, whatever they may be, but we all do have the struggle. You keep talking about this sisterhood that you've developed. Do you have get-togethers, and how frequent are they? Tell me about that.
Yes, so we have, just recently, I've more so been doing an annual type of event, but I have done smaller ones that are monthly, where we physically get together in person. Right now, I'm hosting the Elevate Houston Sisterhood Business Weekend that takes place in Houston area, but it's not just for women that are in Houston. Last year, we had women come out from Detroit, from LA, from Florida, from all over, because we interact with one another online, especially by way of the magazine. And it's like everyone sees one another online. I was like, hey, let's meet in person. Let's uplift one another in person. Let's make this a true sisterhood. And the women that came out for that event, like, it was just like, some of them said, oh, well, this was life-changing for me, because many of us don't have that circle. I know I don't have that circle of women. I have friends, I have family, but some of them just don't get what it is that I'm trying to achieve. And when you have women that are moving in a similar fashion, it just does so much more for your spirit. It keeps you encouraged. So we always encourage the women to come out to these events in person. We have such an amazing time. This one is taking place in October, October 23rd through the 25th. And I just can't wait, because we have new women coming each year, and it's just such an amazing time to be able to laugh and kiki, as we say, with women that are like you and that get it.
And it's so important. I need to ask you this, because I know we always get it. You know, why black women? Why can't it just be women? Why can't you just have a magazine? Because what you're talking about speaks to me too, and I'm not black. What's your response to that?
Goodness, the response that I've always had, and I don't know how correct this has been, but when they ask why not all women, why just black women, I say, honestly, not all women support black women. And that's just a fact of speaking. Not all women support black women. And we can relate to one another in a way that maybe some others can't. Some of our struggles that people may dismiss, you don't have to worry about your sister dismissing that. We see it for what it is. So it's just very important to be able to give a voice to so many that haven't had. Black women, we definitely haven't had that platform. We've definitely been overlooked in a lot of aspects. And this is a way where we can kind of elevate one another without feeling as if someone else is downplaying or dismissing what our struggle might be.
And so in the magazine, when you do feature women, let's talk about, like, say you have like a maternal health issue. Do you seek like a black doctor to give that advice, or, you know, just an expert in that field? I kind of want to understand what the brain, what the complete thought is.
Well, you know, it's funny that you should mention that. In this particular issue, we have an article, Nurturing the Nurturers. And it is featuring the spoiled doula. And she is a black doula that, because, you know, that's been a thing, unfortunately, for black women struggling with that, you know, maternal care. And when you have someone that knows what it is that you're going through, knows how to service you, knows how to speak, quote unquote, your language with that, you don't have to explain certain things. It's just beautiful to be able to connect on that level where you don't have to explain, you know, certain things are already understood. And to know that you need that special care from someone that looks like you at times.
Are you finding that, I'm looking through the magazine, you have sponsors, which means you're doing something right here. Tell me about the sponsors that are coming on board. Why are they choosing to support you?
Because a lot of them look like me. Most of the people that purchase, add,
Yeah.
or sponsor the magazine are other Black women, small business owners. They want to be a part of it. They've either been featured or they want to just support, you know,
Yeah.
if they have not been featured, because the ads are a little bit less, you know, costly, you know, so they're like, you know, I feel like I'm a part of this, and still my community is seeing me through this issue by just simply supporting and, you know, placing an ad in. So, I mean, I just put up an Instagram post yesterday. I appreciate every share, every like, every ad. I appreciate it all.
What does success look like to you in 5 years with the magazine?
With the magazine.
And then just in general, because I
Right.
want to get into it too.
Yeah. Well, it would be a beautiful thing to be able to have the magazine in more spaces
Yeah.
of people that would actually could relate
Yeah.
to that. And like I'm talking salons, I'm
Yes.
talking doctors' offices, I'm talking cafes, wherever,
Yes.
Airbnbs, because people like to read when they're. I want this in so many places so that I can gain these ladies
Yeah.
maximum exposure.
How do you get in spaces like that? I mean, I've always wondered, is it them noticing you? Do you go to the how does that work?
Well, it's funny because the Airbnbs that I've been placed in are people that I have reached out to.
Right.
And sometimes that's what people need to realize
Yeah.
too. It's just all a matter of you reaching out, because you can't
do
rely
your
on
own
everybody
marketing.
seeing you.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't rely on everyone seeing you. So it's very important for you to sometimes reach out, because like my mom says, nothing beats a fail but a try. You know, you gotta put yourself out there. And that's one way that I've seen as far as just reaching out. Now a platform like like
That's
Fox
right.
5.
Let's make it happen.
Let's
Yeah.
make it happen, because these women deserve to be seen. And like
Yeah.
I said, their products have been as good as, if not,
not
better.
better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The longevity of them. I'm like, wait a minute, what? This is
Yeah.
still on?
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of people finding out about them.
And I'm going to have you come back, because we did talk about having you come back with some of the products that you
Yes,
feature in your
yes.
magazine. How do you even whittle it down? How do you figure out who's going to be on your cover, who you're going to profile with so many women doing so many amazing things? How do you
Right.
whittle it down, or
Well,
how do you figure it out?
It's funny because a lot of times women will just reach out to ask to be, on the cover, and then we go through that process. But there are times when I just see women that are amazing, and I'm like, hey, would you like to be on the cover?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean again by trusting me
Yeah.
with their brands. Because, all right, I'm going to give you my images, I'm going to give you my information, and you're going to put me out there in the best light possible. So it's about, connecting with these women and reaching out, and them trusting me,
Yeah.
and me trusting them to be as amazing as I know that they are. And so it's a process, but it's one that I love.
Yeah. When people read your magazine, when it's all said and done, what do you hope they take away from? And I'm going to ask you in two parts. First, if a young woman picks up this magazine, I've got a 15-year-old, and she's thinking about what she's going to be and how she's navigating the world now. If she were to pick up your magazine, what do you hope she takes away from your magazine?
That she can do this, that she can do whatever it is that she decides to do, that she can read the stories of, this is Krista Hill on our cover. She is a therapist, and she services Black women. So
that
to
is
be
so important.
able, yes,
A
and
Black therapist. I mean, we did a segment on it. Few and far between, sometimes it seems to find.
exactly,
But they exist.
and to be able to speak with her and her talk about why it's so important to have, like, I want young women to look at these and be like, you know what? I really can do whatever it is that I want to do. I can create my own lane. A lot of these women have created their own lanes. There wasn't a specific, person doing this or that, and they made their own way. So I want young women to know that they don't have to be. I was very limited when I was young. I only had the mindset thinking I could be in this particular box.
See, like, knowing you today, I can never imagine that. I'm thinking you have always been like, stratosphere, here I come.
Well, I'm from a very small town, McCall, South Carolina, 2 stoplights, clay dirt roads, and, on some hogs. But it was just like, do conception or an idea for me. But once I got in the frame of mind that I can do whatever I want to do, even though it came a little bit later in life, you know, my daughter with autism has been a true inspiration because I think about everything that she, you know, achieves just in trying to say something and trying to speak. I'm like, you know what? I can do anything.
And even that story of your daughter who has autism, I mean, that's another aspect that, you know, black women, you know, we're seeing the cases of black children more and more with autism and then finding the help they need. So even that in of itself is another layer of discussion that can be had. How can people get the magazine? How can people, you know, reach out to you to be in the magazine if they have a product? Give us that information.
Okay, so it's very easy. So the magazine is Meet the Woman Behind the Business Magazine. But the acronym for the website, MTWBTB.com.
That's the easiest way to do it.
That's the easiest way.
Of course, we'll have this segment on our website. But Sadie, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a pleasure and an honor meeting you. Continued success.
Same.
Again, this is the magazine. Reach out and there you go. It's happening now. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. That's it for this edition of You're On with Maureen Umeh. More Weekend Live continuing after the break. And of course, I'll be back next week with another incredible guest. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. And thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.